What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel with another video on Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. This time we have an early weapon builds video for Tifa, since she is the third character to join your party when the game does go live. Now Tifa is a pretty well-rounded character from my experience in the closed beta. She has good physical damage, good magical damage, and she also has access to some pretty cool debuffs, so she could pretty much do it all. So these setups will give you an idea of how you want to build her. Let's go ahead and get started with my pure physical damage dealer setup. So for this one, you're going to want her motor drive and leather gloves. This turns Tifa into a single target physical damage dealing powerhouse. Both of these attacks are single target, but they do have some pretty high damage modifiers. The support material that you get gives her up to 90% physical attack up and more matching sigils broken. What I mean by that is both of these weapons, if you have them equipped and let's say you hit a matching sigil on an enemy, you're going to be breaking more, which allows you to prevent the enemy from using their big attack when they're charging it up. Motor drive will be giving Tifa access to the wind element, and this setup will benefit from a defense down debuff, because if you're going to run this setup, you definitely want Tifa to be supported by somebody with a defense down debuff. For example, Barrett has that on his W machine weapon. So this is going to be my pure physical damage dealer setup for Tifa. The next one is going to be a pure magic damage dealer setup. So for this one, you're going to want Power Soul and Crystal Gloves. So it's very similar to her physical version, but this time it's focused on magic attacks. Power Soul has a very high damage modifier. I believe it's at 940% on the damage, while Crystal Gloves actually gives her access to an AoE attack. So this one is a pretty versatile set in terms of damage, because you have a single target attack with Power Soul, and then you also have an AoE attack, so you have options there. The support material you get from both of these will grant her up to 80% magic attack up, and another +4 matching sigils broken, kind of similar to what the physical setup does. And this also allows for the attack command stance to be at max for magic. So this is your setup for a magic damage dealing Tifa. Pretty good as well, just as good as the physical damaging one. Now the final setup that I have is a debuffer. So Tifa has two weapons that have some pretty cool debuffs, Tiger Fangs and Sonic Striker. Both weapons each have a debuff that lowers enemy offense. So with Tiger Fangs, you're going to be lowering enemy magic attack, while Sonic Striker lowers the enemy physical attack. You can time these debuffs, so let's say you're unable to prevent a boss from unleashing a very powerful attack, right before they launch it, hit them with the appropriate debuff, so then that way it makes the attack less potent, so then you're taking less damage, especially when you switch into the defensive stance. So that way they're already debuffed, they're dealing less damage, and then you're able to reduce the amount of damage that you take with the defensive stance. Both weapons of these actually have very high damage modifiers. They're not as high as, for example, Power Soul, but they're at I think it's like 720, 740%, which is really good. So even with this setup alone, even though you're focusing on the debuffs that both of these weapons bring, Tifa could still deal a pretty solid amount of physical damage with this setup. So this setup, honestly, I think it's underrated in my opinion. And if I'm going to be building Tifa, I might actually consider this one, because it allows her to be kind of like a sub DPS, and while at the same time being able to disrupt enemies by lowering either their magical attack or their physical attack. This is going to go ahead and conclude my early weapon builds guide for Tifa to help you guys prepare for the upcoming launch of Ever Crisis. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video and stay blessed, everybody.